This is lesson 17, and this morning I'm going to be talking about the triple bottom line. 1997 it was put forward by John Elkington with a book called Cannibals with Forks. Now I assume what he means by that is that maybe we had all these companies and that they were cannibalising the whole world, that we were eating all of their food, and we weren't worried too much about the consequences of that. So therefore the traditional measure of how well a company is doing is just look at profit. And this is called the triple bottom line. And what John Elkington is saying, he brought in the triple bottom line, which is people talk about profits, people and the planet. And it's only by what you measure is what you get. Now it's because all the companies are measured in terms of profit, that's what they all go for. But if you measure them also in terms of people and the planet, then that is a much better measure. This became very popular at the turn of the 20th century. And only a company that produces a triple bottom line account, taking account of the full costs involved in doing business. So for example, there's been a big rush towards doing business in Mexico and Bangladesh because there it's cheaper in terms of labour, but also in terms of environmental standards. So therefore labour markets are unregulated and there's no environmental standards, so therefore it's cheaper to do it in those countries. So therefore what companies should therefore have is a triple bottom line where we can assess a company in terms of all these different things. Now in a sense it hasn't had a huge impact on business. A lot of businesses will have a corporate social responsibility strategy, but I'm not sure of how many actually have a triple bottom line, which is a full accounting process, which is also obviously extremely difficult to implement because profit is money, and money you can measure money, but it's very difficult to measure environmental standards, and it's also difficult to measure the cost in terms of employing people at very low wage rates in other countries. So it's not always the easiest thing to do. But anyway, this is the introduction to a triple bottom line. We had a look at the theory and whether or not it's possible to implement the triple bottom line. It's really difficult because profit is an actual figure. Right, so the monetary value on people on the planet is actually very difficult to implement indeed. And I guess that's why most firms have a corporate social responsibility strategy. However, the whole purpose of it, we can agree on that, of triple bottom line is it captures the essence of sustainability by measuring the impact of an organisation's activities on the world, including both its profitability and shareholder values and its social, human and environmental capital. Right, that's what the triple bottom line does. Right, it's very difficult to monetize everything, as I've already said. What you could do is you could have lots of environmental measures. How much sulfur dioxide do they give out? How much nitrogen oxide do they give out? Right. We have got some examples of that. There's a thing in economics called a genuine progress indicator where they actually monetize 26 different variables from there. But of course that is purely subjective. Now, a lot of firms have therefore shown if you can reduce costs, then it is possible, if you do in fact go green, you can in fact reduce costs. In fact, there's a consultancy report out by AT Kearney, and they found that in 16 out of 18 industries which have adopted green practices have saved money. E.g., some of these must be companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, 3M and Cascade Engineering, where they've adopted aspects of the triple bottom line scenario, and they've reduced costs. Because they've reduced costs, they've also increased profits, as well as obviously creating a better brand image for these particular businesses. Okay, so this has been put forward by Elkington. I'm just going to have a quick look at non-profit organisations after this. Hello, this is the first part of lesson 17 called the triple bottom line, and here we're looking at non-profit organisations or even social enterprises. Now obviously their goals are going to be vastly different from most firms because they do take into account the triple bottom line. They are into sustainability, they are into ecological, environmental factors, and they also want to look after its people. So companies can align themselves with non-profit organisations because the goals of economic prosperity, social well-being and environmental protection. There's another organisation called Social Finance that's put forward that will give money to these sorts of activities. So therefore, if firms can prove that they are looking after everything, and in fact they can prove they're looking after the environment as well as people, they're more likely to receive funding from outside organisations, and it's also adding to the idea of sustainability. So the triple bottom line is a very powerful concept. The problem is obviously in terms of monetizing the values of the environment and also the impact upon people, which I suspect is why a lot of firms just have corporate socially responsible policies. However, if you could develop something called the triple bottom line, then that would be very useful. And of course, when you look at European decisions, often they do take into account everything, and it's a very, very complex process because it's very hard to put a value on certain activities from there. Okay, so John Elkington, the triple bottom line, a very interesting guide to this whole debate of sustainability. Right, and it makes